Hi Pisces, and welcome to your December 2018 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us, which is normally 10 cards, but you guys are getting extra cards all over the place. You got an extra card in the position of the main situation, the challenger obstacle, near future, your influence on the situation, and the environment's influence on the situation. So a whole lot of messages to get to. And honestly, as I was laying out the cards, this looked like a bit of a confusing spread. So we'll see if it starts to make sense as we go through it, but honestly, probably the most confusing spread I've seen in a while, if not ever. So we'll see how it plays out as we go along. And then there's also a oracle card that we'll read at the end to help tie everything all together. So let's go through these cards one by one, starting with the main situation, where we have the Four of Wands and we have the Ace of Cups. So these two cards together definitely seem to me like there's some offer of stability. The Four of Wands definitely represents stability, is a celebratory type of atmosphere, as you could see from the artwork in the card. And then the Ace of Pentacles is usually something new. Now, for some of you, when I see the Ace of Cups, sometimes this represents pregnancy for me. Sometimes I see this as symbolic of conception. So if that's the case, if you're already in a committed relationship and you guys have been trying to conceive for a while, this might be the month that you receive that news that you actually have been successful in that area. For those of you who do not want that, though, please keep that in mind that could be a warning. But with these two cards together like this, I think this would be something that for the vast majority of you would want, if that's how it's playing out. But for others of you, it could just be as simple as saying that a new love offer comes in and you guys move it forward rather quickly. That's the main vibe that I'm getting there. And the North Node actually just moved into your fifth house of Cancer, so that could be what that energy is about. That can sometimes bring some positive relationships into your life, as far as the fifth house can represent new love and creativity, also children. Speaking of the North Node moving into the fifth and the potential for conception, so something to keep in mind there. All right, now in the challenger obstacle position, we have two cards as well. We have the Ace of Pentacles and we have the Seven of Swords. So one thing that sticks out to me is between these four cards, we have all four elements on the table. We have the sword element, we have the pentacle element, we have the wand element, and then under that we have the cup element. So that's one thing. So to me, it's just like there's a whole lot of different energies on the table to begin with. But another way that this could be playing out is if there is someone who's promising you stability, just be careful that they're not being deceptive about that as far as finances go. Like maybe, they're making it seem to you like, oh, yes, they love you, this, that, and the other, but really it's just a play for finances. That is a possibility I have to at least put out there for some of you with the cards laid out this way. Another way this could be playing out as well is, let's say some of you are actually looking to buy a home, which is also a possibility. If that's what's going on, and maybe you're celebrating that, be careful, because the person that you're buying it from, there might be some deception there. Like maybe there's some problems with the house that they're not telling you about, right? So they're actually going to sell the house to you for more money than it really should be worth. That's a possibility, so be careful around that. And keep in mind, there's still retrograde energies at play. Venus retrograde, I'm recording this around the middle of November. Venus retrograde will be ending mid-November, but it'll still be in shadow for a while. And then Mercury will be retrograde from mid-November through to, it'll come out of shadow close to maybe mid-December. So keep in mind that those energies are usually a bad time to sign contracts of any kind. So that's what you're dealing with, you might think you found a perfect home, right? And that's where the celebratory vibe comes from. But just know there might be something hidden that you're not seeing. That could be a way that that's playing out. And then for some of you, it could be just saying that when you're into this, you know, if there is a new relationship offer, someone might be giving you the impression that they're going to put in their part, right? You put in your the cup element here as a water sign, so you provide the ace of cups. The other person, maybe an earth sign, says, okay, I'm going to put in my part, the ace of pentacles, right? But really, they might not be planning on actually putting in what they say they would. Something to keep in mind there. Now in the foundation position, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So this is actually a major arcana card that represents Jupiter, and Jupiter actually just changed signs early in November. It moved into Sagittarius, which is the sign that it naturally is the ruler of. So for some of you, this could just be saying that you're feeling the energy shift in that regard. And in that, if that's the case, it would be moving from your ninth house into your 10th house. So maybe you're shifting your focus. Maybe you've been doing a lot of long distance travel. Maybe you've been in school, for example. You know, most likely be college for those of you if that's the case. And now your focus is shifting from career, right? Maybe you graduated. Maybe that could even be what this Four of Wands card is celebrating. That could be graduation, right? If we think of that as like a university in the background, it's a graduation ceremony. And right out of your graduation, you get a job offer that you might think is going to be everything you want, but really there's something hidden about it. You know, this might be when you guys apply for it, they might tell you, oh yeah, you only have to do this and this, but then really they know that once you get there, they're going to throw all these other responsibilities on your lap as well. So something to keep in mind there, especially if you're fresh out of college. You know, sometimes they will try to get as much as they can out of a new graduate, or that could be the financial offer as well. They could say, oh, well, you know, this is the offer that we can give you, right? The starting salary that they give you, but really they could have given you a lot more. So if that's what's going on there, I would say try to negotiate a bit with the salary, because maybe they're just giving you a real low offer, and maybe that's what's going on there. You know, you're fresh out of college, you're excited, like, oh, I'm going to get this job. And they take advantage of that eagerness to say, oh, cool, we're going to give them a low offer because they seem so excited just to have the job. And realistically, for anyone else, they would have been paying a lot more. So something to keep in mind there. And, you know, of course, a happy medium, right? You might not need to expect the world, but if you feel that the offer is a little low, try to negotiate for a bit more. And you still might not get everything that they would have normally given, but at least try to get more than what they were going to give you if the offer seems low. All right, in the past position, we have the Six of Cups. So this could just be saying that you reconnected with someone from the past. A lot of people, when they see this card, they automatically jump to a past love connection. And that certainly is a possibility with Venus. You know, after it was in retrograde cycle for a while, we already discussed that. So maybe that energy brought someone back from the past. But again, to me, this doesn't always have to be love either. It could just be reconnecting with someone that you had a falling out with. Usually it's someone you've known for a long time, because you look at them, they look like they're kids in a way. And then I also call this the being the bigger person card. So maybe some of you extended an olive branch to someone from your past. That's some of the ways I see this playing out. And some of this could just be saying you feel like you're, again, with that home theme there, the Four of Wands, maybe you just feel, or at least that in the past you felt like you were at home again in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you just reconnected with, or connected with people that felt like people you knew from when you were children, right? That can happen sometimes. We come across people, they remind us of old friends we had. That could be how that's playing out there. Now, in the present position, we have the Moon card. So some people actually say that this represents Pisces for them. I usually see this, well, a little bit as Cancer, because Cancer is actually ruled by the moon, but more so than that, I see this, people say this is a card of deception. I don't normally think of it that way when it's in the upright. The way I explain it more, and if you guys have heard it before, I'm sorry, but I can't remember who I made this description to or not, but when I see the moon card in the upright, It reminds me of when you're in an unfamiliar place. So the example I usually give is like, let's say you're in a hotel, right? You're in a hotel with someone. You guys check in at a hotel, right? You set everything down, put your stuff away, get ready to go, and then at the end of the night, you go to sleep. And then you wake up in the middle of the night, you have to go to the bathroom, right? So you might not want to turn on the light and wake up the other people in the room. So you might just try to go through in the dark, right? So the first thing you do, you get out of the bed. And since you're unfamiliar with the environment, you might be feeling around to make sure you don't stub a toe or like, knock anything over, right? And it's not that anyone moved anything around while you were asleep, but it's just that you're not familiar with the environment. So while the lights were on, you're able to get around the room just fine and without even giving it a second thought. So that's the way I usually think of it, which is to say, you just might need to feel your way around a situation. So again, like I was saying, there could now, while I don't normally see this as deception, we do have to keep in mind that we do have that Seven of Swords in the challenge position. So that could lean towards deception, but what I would say is just feel things out. If something seems a little off to you, don't just shoot forward. Like I was saying, if it's that job offer example or making an offer on a house, you're so eager to get the house or so eager to get the job that you either end up overpaying for the house or accepting a lower offer than you should for a job. Keep that in mind this month. And like I said, especially with the Mercury retrograde energy at play and Venus still in shadow for part of the month, that could not be a good time to sign any contracts if you can avoid it. Unless you really do your due diligence and really look everything over and make sure that you do your research. All right, in the near future position, we have the Ten of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles. So another way that this energy could be playing out looking at these two cards is it could be the withdrawal of an offer. What I mean by that is, let's say you were trying to sell a home rather than buying a home, right? And someone made an offer to you, oh yeah, we're totally going to buy the house, right? And then at the last second, they might pull that offer away. So in your mind, you already thought it was in the bag, right? So going from that ace to the knight, you feel like, okay, that money's as good as in your hands. But then all of a sudden, they withdraw the offer. Same thing with a job offer. Someone might offer a job to you. Oh, okay, cool, I got the job. You start thinking about how you're going to spend your money, right? Oh, I could get some new furniture, this, that, and the other. All of a sudden, they withdraw the offer. And then relationship vibe too. It could be the same thing. You might think, okay, Ace of Cups, Four of Wands. Oh, cool, I got this new relationship that's starting. And then seemingly before it even gets off the ground, all of a sudden the offer is withdrawn. Or this might not necessarily mean withdrawn since it is in the upright. This could also just mean that there's delays behind it. And with the retrograde energy at play again, that could totally be a possibility as well. Because the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the deck, so that could be what it is as well. Just saying that, okay, you thought that you were going to have this job or this house or whatever the case may be. You thought you were going to have all that sewn up by now, and then you find out, oh, there's going to be delays. And if you weren't aware of that and you started spending money you didn't have necessarily, that could be the issue. And then lastly, for others of you with the relationship vibe too, this could just be saying that there's an earth sign that you thought you were going to actually have a connection with, and then for whatever reason, that falls apart with that position there. But we'll see how that plays out as we go along. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Three of Cups, the Six of Pentacles, and the Five of Swords. So let's look at this a few different ways. Maybe again, this is that celebratory energy, right? You're thinking, oh, I got the job, I got this new relationship, whatever the case, I bought a house. That celebratory vibe, right? And this is about balance. You might think, okay, this was a good deal for me, it was a good deal for the other side, right? You might think that everything was on the up and up. And then all of a sudden, you find out that everything wasn't as it seems, right? So again, going back to maybe they lowballed you in an offer. You might have thought if it was a job, oh, I got this job, it's great, it's going to be exactly what I needed. They were really fair with me with the salary negotiation. And you find out after the fact that they really weren't at all, that they actually lowballed you. Or this could also be saying competition. So maybe it was a real competitive field and someone made an offer to you initially, but then someone else comes along and then they end up snatching that offer away from you. So, there could be one of those things where the Ace of Pentacles, to me, sometimes the main thing with that is it represents more of an idea than a tangible thing. So you might think you killed it in the interview. Oh, I absolutely rocked the interview. I'm good to go. I'm going to get the job without a doubt, right? You're feeling confident about it. Then you find out someone else interviewed for it after you, and then they actually offered the job to them and not you. So that's certainly another way that it could play out. Um, Overall, this could also be saying too, though, because we'll get to it a little bit more when I look at the position of the environment's influence. But let's say that this was you, right? Maybe you were out partying and celebrating a lot, and maybe that actually jeopardized the balance of your relationship. And then maybe that led to arguments, right? Maybe the person that you were with, again, going back to withdrawing an offer or possibly something falling apart, maybe someone felt that you weren't putting in your part into the relationship. Because if we even just look at this first card here, it's the Three of Pentacles. So this person might have felt that they were actually trying to put in work and build something tangible, whereas they felt like you were, just not taking things as seriously. So maybe that's what led to, them feeling like, well, I feel like there's an imbalance in this situation. Maybe they even addressed it with you. They asked you, hey, I feel like things are uneven in this connection. And then it leads to some kind of fight. Usually this card to me represents ego battles, though. So something to keep in mind there. You might just say just the right thing that will get under their skin, because it's not really about the issue at hand, but it's a matter of wounded egos. So if that's not how you want things to go, that's another warning there. And then in the environment position, we actually have 4 cards. I thought it was 3, but we have 4. So the Three of Pentacles is the first one. The Strength card. The Five of Wands, yeah. Definitely you guys are battling with someone. And then we have the Four of Pentacles. Okay. All right. So for some reason, when I had these cards, I didn't see the Five of Wands. Then I saw the 3, I saw the Strength card, and the Four of Pentacles. Somehow this one got hidden in there. Must be that retrograde energy coming up. But yeah, so that's really the vibe that I'm getting. Again, this could play out. It's not that you guys are going to be the bad guy in every situation. It could also be like we were saying with the Ace of Pentacles and then the Seven of Swords beneath that. Maybe it's someone gave you the impression that they were going to put in the work, right? And that's what you were celebrating. Oh, I have someone who is actually going to be an equal partner to me for once, whether it be work, again, like I said, or an actual romantic relationship. And, really, this is a card that's a major arcana card for Leo. But on the negative side of that, we also have ego. So going back to the Five of Swords energy we saw there as well. Maybe they let their ego get in the way. So you guys got into some ego conflicts in that regard. And then they decided to pull back. And again, so it could be perception versus reality with the Moon card there, right? Like maybe neither of you is seeing the situation fully clearly. Maybe they feel like they were putting in all the work. They asked you to put in your half, right? And then they stopped putting in any work. So maybe that was the issue there that came into play. But yeah, I feel like there's a situation where there's definitely imbalance, without a doubt. And again, going back to what I was saying as far as an offer on a house or a job offer, right? They might have made it seem one way. Oh yeah, we're totally going to build on this. They're giving you all this praise, right? Maybe this is just saying that they were buttering up your ego, buttering you up, making everything sound good, right? Oh yeah, this is them massaging your ego, telling you what you want to hear. right? Then when it's time for things to actually play out, they shut down. So, okay, yep, we told you we were going to give you X amount of dollars a year. Then all of a sudden, when it's actually time to pay up, all of a sudden they're tight with their money. That could be how that's playing out. Um, but yeah, I can't look past the fact that this definitely, on both of your sides, it looks like there's some ego involved. So if you guys want to fix it, there might be the possibility to do so, but someone's going to have to, and then maybe that's where this came into play too. Remember, I was saying the being the bigger person um, card, so I would say that would be more for actual relationships rather than the job offer, house offer thing. If this is finance related, if you feel you're not getting the right offer, feel free to not accept it. But if it's a relationship dynamic, on the other hand, maybe this is, like I said, the being the bigger person thing. Maybe you can try to extend the olive branch and see if you can repair that. Because, I mean, we do have the 10 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So that can mean wish fulfillment as far as having everything you want when it comes to love. But on the negative side, the way I always describe it, there's a rainbow with a bunch of cups in it, right? Like, that's not exactly the most realistic vision either. So, you're really going to have to feel things out with that moon card here this month, guys. I'm getting a lot of these messages, and actually, as I'm reading through them, it makes a little bit more sense to me than I thought it would initially, but it's just, there's definitely some deception and ego conflicts for some reason on the table. So, you guys are going to have to work through that. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Temperance card. And this is actually a major arcana card for Sagittarius. So, once again, we're talking about how Jupiter just moved back into that sign. And in December, there's actually going to be a new moon in Sagittarius. And that's going to be squaring your Mars. Or, excuse me, well, put it this way, Mars will be going through the sign of Pisces. So it will square Mars in your sign in the middle of the month. So that could be what brings about all these conflicts too, because that actually makes perfect sense the more I think about it. You'll have the sun and the moon in Sagittarius, and they'll be squaring Neptune and Mars together. So Neptune and Mars coming together can add to that combative energy and not seeing things clearly. So you add those two energies together, and then they're squared by the sun and the moon. That could definitely lead to this. Now, thinking about the astrology behind it as well, that actually makes a lot more sense. So just keep that in mind, guys. That new moon is around, I think it's actually a little before mid-month. It might be actually right around the end of the first week of December, if I'm remembering correctly. So just keep that in mind. If there's like some energy like this on the table, like around the end of the first week of December through the middle of December, keep in mind that it could just be those energies at play. And once those transits pass, again, let's say towards the end of the month, maybe that'll all clear up for you. But that could totally be what's going on. Neither side might be seeing things fully clearly. The Mars coming through there could also light up any deception. So if there is deception, that could also bring it about. And then with the new moon energy there, it could be handled in an abrupt way. So just something to keep in mind there, guys. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom if you want it to be, although I would say with finances, definitely heed that warning. Don't accept offers if they don't seem right to you, if they seem low. Also, be wary of offers you do accept that, make sure that they're on the up and up. Make sure you get everything in writing. Make sure that they actually, rather than they say to you, oh, we're going to pay you this much, but then you look at the contract and the salary is lower than what they said it would be, make sure you get everything in writing if you are going to do anything financially. And in relationships, if it's something you don't want to end, maybe try to ride it out to the end of the month, all right? Because in the outcome position, we have the Seven of Cups. So to me, this says, again, points to energy of not seeing things clearly. The way I always describe this card is, okay, you and I looking at this card right now, we could clearly see those cups, right? But then if we look at this person, they're in the dark. So to me, this could be saying you're in the dark about something. You're not seeing something clearly right now. And if that's the case, it's best to hold off and not accept any of those cups, right? So something to keep in mind there. I think that that's definitely what's at play there. Um, and like I said, those retrograde energies should be clearing up by the end of the month, and in January especially, the energy will be totally clear. So if these are energies you can afford to write out, try to do so. If not, if you have to accept the job offer, if you have to accept an offer on the house, just try to make sure you really check everything over as much as possible to make sure that you're getting what you think you are. And yeah, that's about it for that. So we'll read the Oracle card now, and it's the Fates. There's the artwork for it, and 17 is the number, if that holds any significance for you guys. We'll read through the messages, see if that helps provide more clarity to the reading. Okay, it says essential meanings: fate, karma, acceptance that there are things you cannot change, and knowing what those things are. The Oracle's message: the Serenity Prayer sums up the meaning of this card. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are things in your life you will never have control over. The conditions brought on by the evolution of the collective, by nature, and by your past experiences may be fated, preordained by spirit for a greater purpose you cannot understand in this lifetime. It may not be in your cards to understand why certain events occurred, but you can accept the mystery and work with what those events and your current circumstances have to teach you. This is the wisdom contained in the Serenity Prayer. So, I mean, that certainly seems to, it almost matches what I was feeling. Like I said, especially at the very beginning before I started reading through the cards one by one, I was like, this is a pretty confusing spread. A lot of energy on the table. Like I said, this might be the most extra cards I ever got in one reading. And, there's definitely some weird dynamics at play there. And maybe this is saying that it's fated. Probably not the best news that you'd want to hear, right? If it's not playing out in a positive way. But like I said, there are definitely steps that we already covered here that you can take to try to minimize this and make sure you're seeing things as clearly as possible. But some of this, like it says, just might be out of your control at this time. All right, and we'll read the relationship message next. It says, other people are who they are. You can't change them. The challenge is to accept them as they are and not try to make them otherwise to suit you. This is a time to look at how you attempt to mold people to fit your view of how they should be so you can remain in a relationship and avoid discomfort. What if who they are, and whatever is happening between you and them in this situation, is perfect from the perspective of spirit? Now is the time to accept it, that what you cannot change, even if it means that you honor yourself, spirit, and the other person by moving on. Love unconditionally, for each of us is on our own journey, and we cannot direct that of another. Be aware that this relationship is indeed fated, and you are meant to evolve into a better version of yourself as a result of it. So that could be what it is too, meaning that, maybe the way you're seeing someone isn't clear, but also remember what I said, and it stuck out to me, that we had all four elements we had the fire with the water, then we had the earth with the air, and, with them being in a challenge position to the fire and the water, it could just be that people are, whoever you're dealing with, you're just total opposites, and maybe that's the issue. You've been trying to make it work, but maybe it's just the point to accept that, you guys, I mean, even here, look at this. Both threes, but right, you have the Three of Cups, they have the Three of Pentacles. Let's see if there's any other things that seem to really... Alright, we have Six of Pentacles. And then we have, Pentacles versus Wands, right? Alright, well, there's Pentacles there, Swords. So, I mean, yeah, it could just be that you guys just have such drastically different approaches. Because even if we look at the parallel, the similar numbers, we have the Three of Pentacles on their end, and then the Three of Cups on your end. And then the other one, Five of Swords on your end, Five of Wands on their end. So that could even just be saying you guys handle conflict differently, you know? So it could just be you guys are just approaching things from totally different angles, and at least this month, at the very least, it's not working out very well for any parties involved. And it might, be on you to decide, well, is this something I could live with, or should I just accept that we're too different and move apart? But it sounds like there's some lessons for you to learn from that connection anyway, according to that message. And the prosperity message says your experiences concerning prosperity and abundance are beyond your personal control right now. You are being invited to accept what is unreservedly. This could be a temporary situation, seemingly thrust upon you by outside forces, but there is an underlying purpose you can't see that has been determined by the fates. It could be a situation you are unprepared for, and you may not understand how it will benefit you in the moment. Do not fight the situation. Ride it out and see where it leads. Surrender to it, and the serenity you need to make good choices from here on out will be given to you. You will indeed flourish. Alright, so that seems to support what we already discussed in the reading as well. The good thing, it says this could be a temporary situation, seemingly thrust upon you by outside forces, but there is an underlying purpose you can't see that has been determined by the fates. So maybe this is just some energy you need to go through for whatever reason, and then once you move past it, things will improve. And maybe that's part of the energy with the node just going back into Cancer, moving out of the sign of Leo. Maybe it's trying to sweep some areas of your life clean and help you reboot from there. All right, but I think that's all the messages we have for now. Like I said, that was a pretty heavy, weird reading, so hopefully it resonated for some of you. If you want a personal reading with me, you could go check out the About section of my channel for more info on that. You could also check out my Instagram page where we have a little bit more fun with tarot and astrology there. But if not, happy holidays, guys, and I'll talk to you next month. All right, bye.